22-year-old runner disappears mid-jog. And what cops find in the Georgia woods ends up changing U.S. law, in a big way. This is a true story, and it is heartbreaking at times, but don't worry. No graphic content here. Just the facts, told with respect. If you're feeling a little heavy today, take a breath. Hit play when you're ready. All right?
I found her. Ma'am. Oh! I need EMS immediately. She's not breathing.
Morning of February 22, 2024. A guy in all black shoes to gloves slips into the woods off a UGA trail and just vanishes from sight. According to the prosecutor, he was not there by accident. This man was targeting female joggers. Minutes later, 22-year-old Laken Riley laces up for a routine solo run on the University of Georgia paths she knows by heart. It's a blue sky morning that should have ended with a shower in class. Not an emergency call no one wants to hear. Who is Laken, born on January 10, 2002, in Marietta, Georgia? Laken is more than just a name on a list. She is a daughter, a sister, a friend and a student, quietly building a life of compassion. A cross-country runner in high school, she later studied nursing at Augusta University, earning her class of 2022 faculty honor roll. She is a member of Alpha Chi Omega and envisions a future dedicated to helping others. Her morning runs are small, steady rituals, a way to clear her head, breathe and settle into a day of classes and clinical practice. Friends described her as smart, kind-driven, and grounded in her faith. Her mother later said in court she was a child of God, hardworking, thoughtful, and kind. That morning felt ordinary blue skies, familiar roads, and the promise of a new day toward the life she longed for. Her routine was simple and felt safe. UGA paths are marked busy, close to buildings, the kind of place people trust even early. At 8:55 a.m., she texts her mom, "Good morning. About to go for a run if you're free to talk." At 9:03 a.m., a quick call before heading out. Light shoes, black tights, dark jacket, AirPods, Garmin. Little details, but they paint the picture steady, thoughtful kind. Roughly 10 minutes into the run, something is wrong. 1 minute later at 9:06 a.m., she slips out of the camera's view. At 9:11 a.m., Laken's phone triggers an emergency call open line, no voice.
Clark County 911. Hello, this is Clark County 911. Hello, Clark County 911. Can anyone hear me?
Her mother keeps trying, calling, texting, but every message stays unread. That silence was not normal. For Laken, the phone was her link to friends and family, and she never left it behind. Laken's roommates, Lily Steiner Connolly Huth and Sophia Magana, begin to worry when she does not return. These are people who ran with her, laughed with her, and depended on her. The not knowing feels unbearable. By late morning, the situation sharpens into alarm. The app shows Laken's phone still near her favorite loop. Lily and Sophia walk the trail with their dog Champ and find Laken's AirPods near the edge of the path, but no Laken. But Laken has mysteriously disappeared. The family calls her roommate, hoping for a clue, but she says she has not heard anything. At 12:07 p.m., her roommate reports her missing to UGA police. The campus that felt safe just hours before now holds a question none of the people who loved her can shake. At 12:38 p.m., Sergeant Kenneth Maxwell follows her usual route and finds her about 20 meters off the trail near Lake Herrick. He begins CPR, calls it in, but it is too late. Body cam footage later shown in court captures his voice trembling as he calls for medical aid. There is no response. Begin medical aid. Emergency medical teams arrive quickly, but a life that had been full of promise is suddenly gone. In the field that afternoon, friends and family, including Laken's mother Allison, her father Jason Riley, and her stepfather John Phillips, hear the news no parent should ever hear.
Let's step up here. Come on, let's go. Somebody come here, all right? I don't want to tell you yes or no because I don't have names. I don't know who anybody is. This is a pretty serious incident.
UGA police call in the GBI fast. The scene suggests a violent encounter and resistance. Prosecutors later say Laken fought with everything she had, leaving key evidence behind. No physical evidence is found at the time, but the position of the body, the red marks around the neck, and the disheveled clothing tell a different story, one of a struggle and an attempt to resist. Prosecutors later say in court, Laken tried to defend herself with every ounce of strength, leaving critical evidence that later identified the suspect. Initially, all signs point to a random attack. Laken is simply in the wrong place at the worst possible time. Technicians bag Laken's hands to preserve potential defensive DNA beneath her nails. The coroner later rules cause of death severe head injury combined with lack of oxygen. There is no evidence of a completed. Investigators later confirm that her Garmin watch records her final heartbeat at 9:28 a.m., showing a 15-minute struggle for life. Data from Laken's Garmin helps reconstruct a heartbreaking timeline she leaves. The trail moves roughly 65 feet into the trees and appears to struggle for several minutes before her pulse ceases. The investigation accelerates. On February 23rd, runner Joseph Clemente reports seeing a man in black on the trail around the time of the attack, a silhouette in a black Adidas cap who did not look like he belonged there. That thin thread gains weight when security cameras begin to show footage of a man in black near a dumpster about 15 minutes after Laken's heart stopped appearing to stuff a jacket into the bin. Police recover the jacket and rush it to the lab. Forensic scientists, including GBI specialists Ashley Hinkle and Ann Kissler-Rao, later testify that Laken's DNA and hair samples are found on the jacket. Shortly after the footage is analyzed, the GBI and the University of Georgia Police Department issue an urgent alert look for the man in the video dressed in black moving quickly and calmly disappearing into the woods. Patrol units canvass nearby complexes. Officers find Ibarra wearing the same Adidas hat seen in the surveillance images. When asked for identification, he presents false papers. That moment, just 48 hours after the attack, marks the shift from mystery to arrest. His real name is Diego Ibarra, an undocumented immigrant. When asked about the jacket containing Laken's hair found in the trash near his apartment, Diego tries to act innocent. But at the police station, everything falls apart. He admits the person in the video is his own brother, Jose Ibarra.
Do you know where this is?
¿Sabes dónde es eso?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who is this?
¿Quién es eso?
Ese es mi hermano, veníamos, nosotros estábamos los juntos ese día.
That's me and my brother. We were both together that day.
Okay, there's only one person in the video, so who is that?
En el video solamente tiene una persona. ¿Quién es?
Is that you or your brother?
Sí.
¿Es usted o es su hermano?
No, es de él.
It's him.
Him?
No, it's his brother. Sorry, about him. His brother.
Okay, I'm gonna rewind it and let him watch it again.
Usted va a ver otra vez.
And where is this?
¿Dónde es eso?
Eso es el basurero donde nosotros vivimos.
This is in the trash can or the back over there by where we live.
No, ese está pegado, no está.
You can say one.
Yes, I did. Just give it a second.
Dame un segundo.
You'll still see him walk. Is that his hat?
Esta gorra es su gorra.
Sí, mi gorra.
Yes, it's my hat.
Okay, does he know what his brother is doing?
¿Sabe qué está haciendo su hermano?
Yo me estaba botando la basura. Yo sé, ahí se está botando la basura.
It looks like he's throwing something in the trash.
Okay. And how does he know this is Victor?
¿Y cómo que usted sabe que es su hermano? Victor.
Porque ahí esa ropa yo se la vi a él.
Because that seen in that clothes.
Claro.
Okay. Are these clothes that only Victor wears?
Esa es la ropa que usa Victor.
Officers return to the apartment. As they knock, they notice fresh scratches across Jose's hands, arms, and neck. Small parallel marks, possibly consistent with contact during an altercation.
And that's back by the bedroom. I don't know if that's an exigency for me to go in there for a suit. Just a normal dude. I'd rather go into the man. That's true. Yeah. I'll do it. There's a guy right here. There's a guy right here. Yeah. Alright. Hold on. Policia. Hey. Policia, manos.
He said he left something on the stove, so I was going to try and cut it off.
Hey, I need you to translate one at a time. Come here. Come to me. Come here. Or are you? Tell him I need to see his hands. Tell him to slowly get out. Ask him to do anybody else. That's a match, man. Alright. Get slowly.
¿Hay alguien más aquí dentro?
When investigators analyze his phone, they find selfies of Jose wearing the same outfit shown in the surveillance footage. Background checks reveal a deeper history. Jose entered the United States illegally, across the southern border, was detained by immigration officers, and later released into the country. Later, he is arrested in New York for driving a scooter without a license, while a child rode unprotected on the back. Then again in Athens, Georgia, with his brother for shoplifting at a Walmart. They never appear for court. In February 2024, Jose Ibarra is arrested and charged with the homicide of Laken Riley. The charges include malice, homicide 3 counts of felony, homicide kidnapping with bodily injury, aggravated assault with intent, aggravated battery hindering a 911 call, and tampering with evidence. On March 1, 2024, more than 1,000 mourners fill Woodstock City Church. Friends remember Laken as a light in every room she entered, and her sorority sisters hold candles through tears. Her community gathers to say goodbye to a young woman whose future had been rising just as quickly as her compassion. Lawmakers respond by introducing the Laken Riley Act, a federal bill requiring detention of undocumented immigrants who are charged with theft or burglary. A policy debate begins, but for her family, the focus remains on justice. After months of preparation, both sides finally reach a procedural agreement. The case will be tried before a judge, not a jury. That means the full decision, guilt, and sentence rests with a single person based solely on the evidence presented in court. In a move that surprises many, the prosecution announces it will not seek capital punishment despite months of public outrage. In November 2024, the trial begins under Athens Clark County Superior Court Judge Patrick Haggard. By this point, prosecutors have assembled a deeply layered case, physical evidence, DNA, digital data, witness testimony, expert testimony, and extensive security footage. Meanwhile, the defense focuses on questioning weaknesses in the timeline, challenging the investigative steps, and suggesting an alternative scenario that maybe the events did not unfold exactly as the prosecution describes.
You'll hear that someone in that video, in the so-called dumpster video, was wearing an Adidas hat. That's true. When they find that hat, and specifically the hat that was tested in this case, it was worn by Diego Ibarra, not Jose Ibarra, Diego Ibarra.
On the stand, Sergeant Joshua Epps recalls what he witnessed during the arrest.
Did you observe any injuries to Jose Ibarra?
I did.
What injuries did you observe?
While speaking to him, I noticed on his right arm, his bicep, there was a scratch, which I identified as a potential defensive wound. On his left arm, he had a forearm scratch that was very similar, which in my mind looked like fingernail scratches to me. While he was sitting there speaking to us, I also noticed on his left wrist, just below the palm, he had a puncture, maybe a half an inch wide, that through my experiences of playing sports in high school and receiving the same injury from fingernails in football, I could see like wet flesh, like almost like it was fresh. It wasn't very old, possibly still irritated. And as he moved his wrists, when I was looking at them closely, I could actually see the liquid, or I guess body fluids that would be in that cut, kind of reflecting with light.
Then the science speaks. GBI forensic scientist Ashley Hinkle testifies that DNA beneath Laken's right fingernails matches Jose Ibarra, not Diego.
One male individual, Jose Antonio Ibarra and Argenis Ibarra, cannot be excluded from the YSTR haplotype from the right-hand swabbings and the left-hand swabbings. Under the assumption no mutation has occurred, paternal male relatives also cannot be excluded.
So paternal brothers share the same YSTR haplotype, is that the word?
They should, unless there's a mutation.
And did you actually see a mutation in this particular case?
Yes, there was a mutation in Diego Ibarra's YSTR profile.
And so because of that genetic mutation, were you able to exclude Diego Ibarra as the donor of the male profile underneath Laken Riley's right hand?
Yes.
The defense tries to raise doubt, reminding the court that evidence open to multiple interpretations is not automatically proof beyond reasonable doubt.
In the state of Georgia versus Jose Antonio Ibarra, count 1, malice murder. I find the defendant guilty. Count 2, felony murder. I find the defendant guilty. Count 3, felony murder. I find the defendant guilty. Count 4, felony murder. I find the defendant guilty. Count 5, kidnapping with bodily injury. I find the defendant guilty. Count 6, aggravated assault with intent. I find the defendant guilty. Count 7, aggravated battery. I find the defendant guilty. Count 8, obstructing or hindering a 911 call. I find the defendant guilty. Count 9, tampering with evidence. I find the defendant guilty. Count 10, peeping Tom. I find the defendant guilty. I certainly will allow both sides to look at this if you want to do it.
But when the sentence is read, sobs ripple through the courtroom. Life sentence without eligibility for parole. Jose Ibarra shows no emotion.
Count 1, malice murder. I sentence you to life without the possibility of parole.
In the months that follow, Georgia enacts new state laws requiring local police to check immigration status for anyone arrested or detained. By January 2025, the Laken Riley Act becomes the first law signed by President Donald Trump during his second term, mandating that non-citizens charged with violent or property-related crimes be detained without bond. Today, Jose Ibarra remains in the Georgia Department of Corrections Special Management Unit in Jackson, Georgia, about 70 miles southwest of where Laken lost her life. Her family has since established the Laken Hope Riley Foundation, supporting organizations that advocate for women's safety and campus awareness across the United States. A vibrant young woman's morning run changed the course of national law. And while no policy can bring her back her name, and the act that bears it remind every student, every parent, and every runner that safety is not about fear. It is about vigilance, community, and protecting one another before another tragedy happens. From a quiet campus to Capitol Hill, her homicide became a movement. Justice was served, but peace was not. Stay with MOPD, true crime documentary for true stories that do more than recount what happened, they reveal why it changed everything. Before we close, please remember that this documentary was created to inform and preserve truth. Every word is part of the real record, shared with respect, never for shock value. The goal is to remember not to romanticize,